Hello and welcome back to the channel and another race recap video. This one is from Grafman, something like that. Basically, it was a middle distance of 70.3 in a place called Grafman. It was apparently the English champs, I think, or like the national champs for middle distance race. I don't know. But basically, I'm going to, I might as well jump straight into it. Basically, just going to run through the whole day and explain how it went. Quickly before I do that, there's a guy with a channel called Hippo Triathlon, I believe. I'll put his link in the description below. Some of this footage that you're going to see in this video came from his channel. Basically, I went there by myself, so I didn't have anyone filming, unfortunately, but he did get some cool clips, so massive thanks to him, and go check out his video and his channel, like I say, in the description below. Right, so let's start off with race morning. Got up at when did I get up? About 3:30. Left the house at 4, got to the race for about 5:30, racked the bike, and the race start was at about 7. The night before, I got everything packed the car, got everything into the car, got everything ready, and it's the first mistake of the day basically. I might as well get straight into it, is I forgot to have any breakfast. One mistake I made at Outlaw was basically I got up so early, and I don't usually eat breakfast in the mornings anyway because I'm just tend to not be too hungry, so I didn't have a lot of breakfast at Nottingham, and I thought that was a mistake because I felt quite hungry at the start of the swim. So this time I really wanted to make sure that I had some proper food basically. I forgot what I was going to have for breakfast, and then basically on the way I stopped off at the only service station that I could find that was open, went in, and the only place that was open in the service station was a McDonald's. So then I was weighing up, is bad food better than no food? I went with the bad food, so I had a McDonald's breakfast, and basically as soon as I had that McDonald's breakfast, I knew it was a mistake. I don't tend to eat a lot of McDonald's or fast foody stuff like that, and my belly didn't agree with it, it didn't like it. Yeah, that you'll find out more about that sort of towards the end of this video, but that was first big mistake. Is I think no food would have been better than bad food, to be honest. I think I should have just not eaten. But anyway, had the food, had a coffee, got to the race, got everything set up in transition. That was all fine. I only done it 2 weeks before, so I kind of knew how to set everything up, and it was all fine. Then let's start with the swim. So plan for the swim was to try and just do something similar to what I did in Outlaw. Did a 32-minute swim in Outlaw, like pretty much on the dot, so I was hoping for somewhere around there. Got into the swim, and it was basically the exact same story. Shoulders started like sort of blew up with blood instantly. I haven't practiced enough basically in a wetsuit and a tri-suit. I think I don't know, it might only be like a small bit more restriction in wearing both, but it makes a massive difference for me. My shoulders were sore within the first few minutes. But saying that, it was an Australian style exit swim thing as well, so you do a loop and then do a little run, then do another loop. I came out of a time of 29 minutes. One thing which I did, which I was super happy that I did, was I started further towards the race. So something at Outlaw which I didn't do was I started way too far back. I started like 400th back or something in Outlaw. This time I maybe started 30 back. It was a smaller race, but you know, it's basically I managed to find feet, which I've never done before, at least for a little bit. I was sort of switching between feet still, and still need practice sighting, I think, and just general open water swimming, I think. But it made the swim, I think I swam equally as hard as I did in Nottingham, but I came out of a time of 29 minutes. I think it was maybe like 50 metres short as well, but what's that, like I don't know, a minute or something. That's like 2-3 minutes quicker just from being in the right position for the same effort, which is, I mean, 2 minutes in a swim, 2-3 minutes is huge. So that was a massive positive. And then when I came out of the swim, same sort of experience as Outlaw again. My shoulders were so full of blood that I couldn't get them, like, it sounds silly, but I couldn't get my arms behind me comfortably enough to get my wetsuit off. So I sort of struggled a little bit with that, but by the time I got to my bike, I had the zip down and stuff, so it was all fine. But the first sort of, like couple of seconds or a couple of attempts at trying to grab the zip and stuff, I couldn't do it, which was interesting. But got into transition. Something that I did mention in the Outlaw video was whether I go no socks on the bike and do aero calf guards, I basically haven't picked any up yet. I am going to, and I haven't tested no socks in practice because I only had like a 2-week turnaround between both races. So I basically did the exact same thing. I put socks on and did the same. Yeah, put socks on and cycling shoes on, and then ran out with cycling shoes on. Again, probably a mistake, and I would have saved time not doing that, but equally I haven't practiced it, so I felt more comfortable, and I think it was the right decision to wear socks and put cycling shoes on. There was quite a bit of a run that you had to do with the bike, but all in all, I don't think transition was horrendous. I did have a few attempts at getting my socks on, but I think that's because my feet was wet and they were quite tight socks. But anyway, transition was okay, I would say. And then onto the bike. This is where I had one of the bigger issues at Outlaw for me was I don't think I pushed nearly as hard as I should have on the bike. So this time my aim on the bike was to push, basically, to push what I know I can push and to not take it too easy. So that was my initial thought as soon as I got onto the bike was sort of go for it. Something I did do in between Outlaw and this race was get a power meter, which is huge. I got a pedal-based power meter. I got the Favero Assioma Duo Shi ones, so the ones that you attach to Shimano pedals. So I got them basically so I could monitor my power this time. I thought that's probably, if I really do want to take this seriously, that's probably the only way I'm actually going to be able to pace the bike to the best of my ability, is to have some measurable feedback as to what I know I can push. My aim was to be between 250 260 watts, so basically the first 15 miles of the bike I pushed that and I was flying. It felt fantastic, felt fine to hold, it felt easy, or relatively easy, it felt good. And then I found that I caught up to, I thought it was about 6th or 7th, but on reflection I think it was about 8th. And then the gap between me and then the guys, like the next 6 or 7 guys or whatever, was quite big. So I found myself with a couple of guys at probably the 20-mile mark that were riding like well, and I did the same sort of thing then. So I basically rode well for 20 miles, found some guys, and then did exactly what I did in Nottingham, was I started to pull back a little bit, not because my legs felt bad, but I found myself with these 2 guys and following their pace more than, even though I had the power in front of me, I was still following what they were doing, which it's just, I don't know. I think I have these thoughts when I get into these races that for some reason it's all going to go bang, my legs are going to give way, I'm just going to, I don't know, even through when I'm practicing, I don't have these thoughts and I just get the sessions done. I need to learn to trust the training that I've done, because I know I can push 250 260 watts like without a doubt, for the whole thing, like no problem. It's just frustrating. And then basically from like 20 to 40 miles, I would say I probably hovered around 230 to 240 watts, which dropped. And then the last 15 miles, where there was a group of maybe like 4 of us or something, and the pace went right down, and I probably averaged 200 to 220 watts. I don't know, I found myself with these guys and I felt like I'd be doing something wrong if I was to, or I'm not good enough to go and ride at 260 watts and push more. I felt like it's almost like self-doubt that it's just something to work on. I think it will come with practice as well, and knowing I don't have to sit with certain people, I can push my own and race my own race. And anyway, came out with a time of, it was about a mile short or something in the race, and I came out of a time of 2:20, I believe, something like that, 2:21 maybe. One thing I will say on the race is, which maybe did play a factor as well into pushing power, is I thought the course was going to be relatively flat with some sort of a little bit of undulation. There wasn't forecast to be much wind, but I was wrong basically. The course was by no means a hilly course, I would say, but it definitely has more sharp little punchy climbs than I was expecting. And what didn't help was, I think where it seems like this place is surrounded just by fields everywhere, so there's like hardly any shelter on a lot of the roads, and the wind, there was times where I felt like I was going to come off the bike, which obviously means I stopped pedaling. I was on the base bar, that going down a lot of the descents because there was just so much wind. It was, as soon as you get up to like over 30 miles an hour, just scary. I was just scared. Overall time, 2:20, 2:21. Started off well, and self-doubt just made me start slowing down. Very windy. My power, which I can now say because I've got a power meter, ended up being 236 watts with a normalised of 250, I think, 255, somewhere around there. Anyway, but I think that should definitely be 15-20 watts higher than that. It can be 15-20 watts higher than that, which may make a difference, or anyway, we'll see. So then kind of going on to the run, which is where the race really went downhill for me. T1, I had an amazing T1. Something that I did do, which I didn't do in outdoor, which I had practiced, was getting out the shoes and putting your feet on top of the shoes before you get to the mount line, and then running off with no cycling shoes and them still attached to your bike, if that makes sense. I did that, and that definitely saved some time. Shoes on really quick. I had a really quick T2, and then another mistake that I made, I didn't check the transitions, or I didn't check the run in, run out, bike in, bike out areas. So I got my shoes on really quickly and didn't know where to run. So I had to ask a marshal, which made it probably didn't really lose much, maybe 5-10 seconds or something. But again, it's a little mistake and something that I need to remember to do next time. But anyway, got my shoes on, got out onto the run, and this is where the stomach problems really sort of started, obviously, as they always do on the run. On the bike, I could manage it. I felt bloated. I did struggle to get nutrition in, especially like fluids, because it felt like it really bloated me out instantly. So I managed to have all my gels, but I didn't have nearly what I needed fluid wise and probably sodium wise. I think I had about half of what I was hoping to have. And then I really felt it basically on the run. I got onto the run, and the run again, I underestimated the course so much. It was grassy, it had some undulation, it was hot, it just zapped your legs. It just, something about it just, and I heard this from a few people, it was just unexpectedly hard. So you come out of transition and you run straight onto some grass and you go a little bit uphill, and as soon as I did that, my heart rate went up to 200 beats per minute apparently on my watch. I don't know how accurate that is, but my legs, just my belly, my stomach, everything, just, it did not feel comfy or good or anything like it did at Nottingham. So you kind of get through this grass bit, and then you get onto a bit of concrete, and I got onto the concrete and my legs did start coming round. My legs felt pretty good, to be honest, for the first 2 miles, averaging 6:30 minutes per mile, which is exactly what I did in Nottingham. My stomach was horrendous. It was just making noises. It felt bloated. I could feel like my tri-suit like pushing against my stomach, which I didn't in Nottingham. And then you do this like 2 mile bit down some concrete, come back, and then you get back onto sort of like a slight incline, that's sort of, it's like a long incline. Hit that bit, that was probably like 2.5 miles or something, and my legs just, at that point I had a thought, which I've never thought in a race, was just stop. My belly was sore, and just nothing. The only way I can explain it is I just didn't feel comfy running at all. My heart rate did settle down though, so I was back into like my zone, like top end zone 2, low zone 3 heart rate. And it's basically the same story up until about the halfway mark. My pace did drop a little bit. I was maybe doing like between 6:30, 6:40, maybe even 6:50 minutes per mile. And then it's a 2-loop course, so then I got back round after the first loop, about halfway, back towards transition, and my stomach was so bad, I just like, I'm gonna have to just stop and go to Portaloo basically. And I think I looked after on Strava, and I spent about 1.5 minutes, 1 minute and 35 seconds in a Portaloo struggling to get my tri-suit on and off, and I'm sure you can all imagine what happened in there. Don't need to explain it. Lost some time, annoyingly, but after I did that, I felt like 10-15 times better. Went back into the run basically after that, felt really good, and just basically from there sort of sped up back up to like a 6:25, 6:20 minute per mile for the last little bit. and felt a lot better. So I came out of a time on the run of 1:27, I think. Would have been a 1:25 without the toilet stop, which would have been the same as what I did in Nottingham. So overall, not actually, on reflection, not actually too bad, considering how I felt. My overall time for the day was 4:20:19, I think, which is an 8-minute PB off of Nottingham. So, you know, can't complain too much. It's still a good time. I came 8th overall. Would have been maybe 6th without the toilet stop, but is what it is. Came 4th in my age group, and yeah, overall, considering how I felt and the small mistakes that I did make, I'm happy. It was a good race. Coming 8th is never, you know, too bad, considering it's my second ever 70.3. Still lots to learn, lots to practice, lots more time I know I can make. Next race is going to be Outlaw Half in Holcombe, which will be a fun one, hopefully. That's in 4 or 5 weeks time, I think. So had a few days easy, and then we'll start building back into that, I suppose, and hopefully rectify a few more of these mistakes in that race. With that being said, I think that will do. I've rambled on for long enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you raced Grafman, let me know how you went in the comments below. I'd like to hear it. I like hearing people's races and how they found it, and comparing it to how I found it in the courses and stuff. So yeah, if you did race it, let me know in the comments, and I'll give them a read. And I think that will do it. So hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I will see you next time for some more triathlon related content. Peace.